Alright, guys, this is going to be a little bit different format just because I came across this while I was on YouTube. And I was like, hold on, wait a second, wait a second. This seems very interesting. So basically, what it's saying is Trump apparently is getting kicked off the ballot for Maine because they believe he violated, I believe, the 16th Amendment, which basically says, a person running for presidency can't participate in an insurrection. So I watched like maybe the first minute of it, and then I was like, nah, this is too good. I gotta, I gotta engage in this video. So here, let's watch this, so we can both kind of watch it both for the first time and see where this is all about.
Breaking news tonight out of Maine, where a move by the Secretary of State has made Maine the first state to officially remove Donald Trump from the ballot on 14th Amendment grounds. In a ruling just moments ago,
14th Amendment, not 16th. I was close by 2 amendments.
Secretary of State Sheena Bellows writes, quote, specifically, I find that the declaration on his consent form is false because he is not qualified to hold office of the president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Bellows added, I conclude that the record establishes that Mr. Trump, over the course of several months and culminating on January 6, 2021, used a false narrative of election fraud to inflame his supporters and direct them to the Capitol to prevent certification of the 2020 election and the peaceful transfer of power. I likewise conclude that Mr. Trump was aware of the likelihood for violence and at least initially supported its use, given he both encouraged it with incendiary rhetoric and took no timely action to stop it. This now comes a day
I
after
feel like
Colorado's
that's
Republican...
where things, depending on what your view is, may get debatable because one person's perspective of incendiary rhetoric and another person's may differ. Obviously, there are things that Trump certainly did, and there's things that Trump certainly did not do. So some people will say, him saying, go down there and was it march like hell or protest like hell? One person can say that's would count towards promoting an insurrection, where another person will be like, well, that just means show passion for how we wanted the election to turn out. So I feel like things like that. It's not like like something objective where it's like this person held this gun at this time, pulled this trigger, and shot that person. With words and rhetoric, I feel like it's very subjective at times, which I think is a slippery slope because let's say people think he didn't say anything to the point where he shouldn't be able to run for the presidency. What if like the next person is running and they say certain things? Now, obviously, this might be a straw man comparison, or I believe that's the right term. Like this might be a bad comparison. I'm just trying to see how I can go about this like as neutral as possible.
Party has asked the United States Supreme Court to overturn Colorado's ruling barring Trump, which basically means Trump will appear on that state's ballot for now. And late today, the High Court was asked to fast-track its review of the Colorado ruling by the 6 Colorado voters who brought the lawsuit to bar Trump from the ballot in the first place. Joining me now is Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold. So glad to have you here. Before we even talk about your state, let's try and unpack some of this breaking news out of Maine. What is your reaction to this move and what it means for the future of all of these 14th Amendment challenges?
I'm just trying to think what she's going to say first. I didn't watch into it this far. I'm just trying to say, like, how typical, I never charge my MacBook. But I'm trying to think of what she's going to say. She's going to be like, yeah, this ruling does not come to surprise by anybody that they believe Trump enacted an insurrection. I don't know. I'm just totally trying to see how good I am at guessing this cable news stuff, because a lot of the stuff is kind of cycled. So I don't know. Let's see what she says.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having me on. And honestly, I think it's great that Sheena Bellows, the Secretary of State of Maine, followed the Colorado Supreme Court in deciding that Donald Trump is disqualified from the ballot. Look, it's very clear that Donald Trump engaged in an insurrection. It is also very clear, the language in the Constitution, which says that if someone swears to uphold the Constitution and then engages in insurrection, they cannot be placed in office again.
You know what's interesting to me? Why is it that like I'm just starting to hear about this 14th Amendment so much all of a sudden, you know? I would have thought, because of course there's a lot of people who don't want Trump to run to be president. I would have thought this would have been brought up a lot earlier. So I don't know. I feel like it's really coming up almost out of nowhere. So that's just surprising to me. I feel like it's the big push now. You know, that's what, you know, people at large are going with to try to set this precedent. There we go.
I do think the Secretary of State of Maine did the right thing. And in Maine, it is her job to make this decision. She also recognizes that it's very likely it's going to be appealed. And like in Colorado, has put a stay, so a hold on her decision to allow the appellate process to play out.
Yeah.